Thank you for coming. I know there's so many other things that y'all could have been doing on a Friday evening. So really appreciate y'all coming and being with us because I think these discussions are so important and valuable. So thank you so much for coming. Uh, Today is the second day of this two-day uh, seminar colloquium on urban resilience that we've been having, and we're doing it in conjugation with IUDI, that's Institute of Urban Designers of India, and ASA, Architects, Engineers, Surveyors Association. ASA has been working with the loft for a couple of years now, and they're really supporting the work we're trying to do, and I'm really appreciative of that because without them, these events would not be so easy to do. Thanks so much for IUDI, and I hope we can work more together and do some of these topics and subjects together. Yesterday we had Jim Stickley, who was from San Francisco, landscape architect, urban designer, urban planner, working on various issues in the Bay Area, in the San Francisco Bay Area, and around the Bay Area and California, sharing his work, his thoughts on the kinds of things that concern him and his practice. We also had Vishwanath, well known as Zen Rain Man to people who follow him on Twitter and Facebook. Somebody who's just all about trying to ensure water security primarily for his city in Bangalore. Just a font of knowledge on anything to do with water, and these were two wonderful talks we had yesterday, and then we had a really engaging Q&A. So those who were here got to see that. Today we have three different talks by three different practitioners. We've got we're going to start with Ganesh Ahire, who's come in from Ahmedabad just to be with us today. Ganesh, thank you for coming. Ganesh, and I'll introduce. So that's Ganesh. We have Dvaipayan Chakravarti, who works in Pune with VKA, Vishwas Kulkarni Architects, and VKU, Vishwas Kulkarni Urban Practice. And Ganesh is going to be talking about, as you can see, what he and his team at HCB in Ahmedabad have been working on for the last several years now, the Pune Riverfront development plan. Dvaipayan will talk about his work in campus planning, township planning, and urban design. And Prasanna Desai sir, who needs no introduction in Pune, talking about his practice in urban design, street design, mobility design, and community design. Prasanna sir has spoken at the loft before, and it's not on our, I want to make a point today, so his talk is not on our website because he asked me not to post certain things because he had some things which were not publishable. So I hope today we can post your talk online, sir, and you won't be saying anything controversial, and we can keep it for the public. Yeah, that's the goal. I have one more person to thank, and that's our photographer team, Ali Asgar and Yusuf Bhai. They are our dedicated supporters, so big round of thanks to them. We try to work with them on all our events, and they give us a special deal because we are a non-profit, and so thank you guys for always supporting us. We're going to do it like this. We'll start with Ganesh, and Ganesh has a flight to catch, so we'll have his presentation, then we'll do a quick Q&A with Ganesh, and then we'll have DC and Prasanna sir. I'll leave this very quick. Ganesh Ahire, architect, urban planner, HCP Ahmedabad. He's an associate at HCP Planning and Management Pvt Limited in Ahmedabad. His work as an urban designer and planner spans more than 12 years and includes riverfront projects, master planning, street design, town planning schemes, local area plans, and TODs, transit-oriented development plans. Currently, Ganesh is working on the Mula-Mutha River Rejuvenation Project, the one he's going to share today, the Tapi Riverfront Plan and Rejuvenation Project, and several other projects and master plans. Ganesh, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll directly jump to the presentation. We have limited time, so I'll just start with the presentation. Basically, I'm from Pune. I did my architecture in Pune and did masters in urban planning from IIT Kharagpur. And since that time, I'm working with HCP on urban planning and urban design kind of projects. So before we actually start about the project and the site, etc., this is a long list of experts who worked on this project, because since last 6-7 years we are working on it to come up with the master plan, and a couple of approvals, statutory things are also completed. So on left side you see the list of authorities like PMC, PCMC, defense areas, and other authorities from whom we got the approvals. And on the right side you see various type of experts, their names. So they and their teams were also part of this entire project. So though I am presenting it today, I am just one person, but it's work of collective contribution. So I'll be presenting in this format the project context. I'll very run through quickly because everybody is from Pune, everybody knows about the rivers. Technical studies, the issues, objective, the master plan and everything. But before we actually jump on the project, we need to understand what is the background and how the city and how the river was, and why the river has turned into the current state it is. So basically our history of the Pune city starts from the references what we got. Definitely it must be older than that, but the references from 7th century. Point of identification here is when the city started growing or the settlement started growing, then only the river also started impact from the urban context. So this is the whole background till the Shivaji Maharaj, till the Peshwa. And when the Shanivarwada was constructed in 17th century, you see this is very tiny area of the old town, old settlement. Definitely we can relate with this. This entire river must be in a natural form, except this tiny part. But slowly how the changes happened. Till 19th century or 18th century, we used to, like our ancestors used to travel the river, cross the river like by swimming, by taking help of the animals. So no bridges, nothing like that. This is one of the painting in 18th century. Here you can see the Parvati in background. This is Sinhgarh Fort, and very small development here. This is Mutha River coming from the old area. This is Mula River, this is confluence, and then combined Mula-Mutha River is going. This was our river at that time, very natural and not so polluted. Later on, by end of the 19th century, this is the again painting from this Tekri. So you see Nayak Bed, part of Nayak Bed here, Parvati and Sinhgarh Fort also there. So again, very natural edges, no construction, nothing, no manholes, nothing was required at that point. Gradually in 19th century beginning, the bridges started coming up. When any bridge comes on river, it allows the crossing facility. That means the city can grow on the other side of the river also. Okay, so till now we had a pressure from one side, now pressure started building up on the opposite bank as well. Couple of more bridges on all three rivers. So this is Mula River, this is Mutha River coming from Khadakwasla, this is Nayak Bed, and this is Mula-Mutha combined together. In 19th century, this is the construction of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Bridge. This is Shanivarwada in the background. And after the completion and during the inauguration day, this is how the current bridge, what we see there, it's inaugurated. This is the location. Later on, you see a bus in the background. Like bridge, the bus is another indication of the city expansion. City started growing because the walking distance, the 500 meter, 800 meter distance of the city must have increased, and at that time this bus must have realized in Pune. So city expansion, this is the kind of indicator, and how number of institutions, academic institutions came up. So this is how our city, small Pune Shahar, started growing, and here we are now. There is no gap, no open space in between. Pune and Pimpri-Chinchwad area is completely merged with each other. And you see all the banks of the river, they are developed. Why I'm telling you? Because if we see today's river, we need to understand why and how gradually this has happened. This is the photograph roughly in 1930s. This is how the Mutha River was, where the this Pune Municipal Corporation building is here. And this is how it is currently. This is again photograph from the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Bridge, Tilak Bridge and other bridges, and very narrow lower channel, 30-35 meter. So that is a huge transformation as a natural water body, as a river, you can see here. Apart from that, what we generally see along the river is this. So we have a lot of garbage dumping at many places. There are a number of nalas, natural nalas or piped outfalls bringing pollution into the river, which is very ordinary situation for us. But if we compare those previous paintings and views, definitely it is creating a lot of nuisance to the river. Most of the river banks are open like this, and no one can access, no one can walk and see the river along these edges. Even this photograph is also taken from the bridge. So only viewpoints are the current bridges, right? Number of articles are coming in the newspapers, online, regarding the loss of biodiversity, the water quality degradation and things like that. So all that pushed PMC to think about the improvement of the state of the rivers, but in a comprehensive way, in a holistic way. So we'll go to the project. So that was the basic background and understanding. So just to understand what is the project expanse, this is a Mula River, which is 22 kilometer. This is Pimpri-Chinchwad Municipal Corporation area. This is Pune Municipal Corporation area. This is Mutha River, which is 10 kilometer, and combined together Mula-Mutha River. Here we have Khadakwasla Bridge, and on upstream of these all rivers, we have Sahyadri ranges and number of reservoirs. So good point of having reservoir is that simply we can regulate the water, we can control the water, we can stop the water for the irrigation, drinking purpose, etc. And during the flood, monsoon also, we can regulate the release of the water. And that's why the floods what we have in this area can be dependent on these reservoirs. So though this is the project area, because Pune Municipal Corporation boundary has this much limit only, that's why our project area for the execution point of view is this much only. But from the hydraulics point of view, definitely this entire area we had studied, because you know what is hydrology? Hydrology in simple layman's language is how much water is hydrology. There can be a large dictionary meaning also, but just to simplify. And hydraulics means how it flows. So how much water, how it flows is a hydraulic study. So we try to understand what is the upstream catchment area, where are the reservoirs, from where these streams are coming, these rivers are coming, and based on this, the hydrology study is conducted. So all that is there. We'll go into the detail of it, just broad level. Another key factor is about having these different administrative areas. So in yellow color, you can see PCMC. This red is a Pimpli-Nilak Defense Area, CME, KCB, and mostly white is a PMC. That means this joint venture between all these different authorities is very important since beginning. So we started involving all the stakeholders to discuss with them what should be the project, how it should be taken up, etc. Let's go to the technical studies. This is the background of the river, but technically we need to understand how our current rivers are. So the first one is the topographical survey. So everybody is a professional here, so I don't need to detail it out. So we did the topographical survey of the river and the adjoining 50 to 100 meter of the areas like this. Number of teams went on site. We also did the geotechnical investigation. Generally, I explain this, but we have short of time, so I'm not entering into that. We did the hydrology, hydraulic study for the river. We prepared a report on it. Like in current situation, how much water is flowing, how it is flowing, and when we do this kind of RFD work, how it will impact. So that study, that report is also shown here. We went to see irrigation department and asked for their approval. So they asked us to get it vetted or cleared from the CWPRS. Then we did the discussion and we got the clearance for the hydrology and hydraulics report from the CWPRS as well. And again, lastly, we went back to the irrigation department and got the approval from them. So this is all process which we are doing from since 2016. We are working on it. These are some of the key meeting photographs, etc. Very recently, a state level flood committee was also there. So we also discussed the project and outcomes. Another important activity which we did was understanding the people opinion. So what they think about the river, what are the current issues, how they see the river, how they use the river, and what are their aspiration about this project, which issues to be addressed first. Like those kind of basic questionnaires we conducted, around 4,700 surveys we did, and this is very interesting outcome of that. So we don't want river to be improved in one aspect, but we want, like Pune people want river to be improved in various aspects. And there is a percentage, that's why we just sequenced it. Like water quality need to be improved. We need to ensure the flowing water because majority of the river is dry. Ecological restoration has to be done. The public spaces need to be improved because which are not there currently. Aesthetical improvement is also expected. Flood safety is also important aspect and connectivity improvement. This is all from the study of the opinion survey. CDSA helped us to do that. We also did number of stakeholder consultations since inception, like understanding the project, during the concept master plan, during the draft master plan, then DPR, blah, blah, blah. So telescopically, the project need to get evolved, improved step by step. So having discussions with the experts of the subject, with people, representatives, with media, with NGOs, everyone. So these are very few photographs. One more important study which is about the land. Wherever we want to do anything, even the building, we need to have that clarity that is that land available or not. To understand that, this is the kind of study we did. Based on the land record information, we prepared this land record map. It's very easy to understand. In between you have a river flowing, but on both the banks you have private plots. So where that private plot ends on this side and where the private plot ends on another side, in between that no man's land is a river on paper, legally, not on physical site. On physical, it's a topographical survey. On paper is the land record map. But we need to understand both the things and bring it on together. That's the job of our designers, right? So we prepared that map, we submitted to the land record department, got it signed and stamped, done. Okay, aage badho. So these are some of the, so this is one small zoom in part of it. This is topographical survey. So we overlap these land parcels from the land record department, and based on that, you got this black line. Definitely because it's from the land record information on paper, which is, like village maps, revenue, survey numbers and city survey numbers and things like that. Everything has to be brought in on one platform together for the entire river, 88 kilometers of the banks, to define this black line. But mind it, this is not the real river on site. So river might be inside this or might be outside this. So river might be narrow, river might be wider than that. Depends. But it is important to understand that in a legal terms. So that was another study. Next study was about the environment impact assessment for air, soil, water quality, everything. We did the environmental impact assessment. Subsequently, we prepared the report, and we also got the clearance from the environment department. So when we have analyzed the water quality and which are the broad issues of our river water, so we have very highly polluted water into the river, adversely impacting the aquatic life. It has reduced the number of fishes. The 70 number of fishes are reduced to 1 or 2. There is a lot of development of hyacinth and so many things. So definitely the number game also we need to understand apart from these qualitative aspects. These are some of the site photos. Apart from these technical understandings, when any person, resident of the city goes on site and we see this kind of issues, pollution in form of sewage flowing, garbage dumping, or the debris dumping, construction debris dumping along the river, that is happening. We also have issue of the flood threat, some of the low-level bridges getting submerged, some low-level developed areas, habitable areas are also impacted by the flood. Inaccessible banks, people cannot walk along the river, though it is a public asset. Most of the riverbed is dry, we don't have a water there. As soon as you see it's a dry riverbed, it must be adversely impacting to ecology, right? And also aesthetically it's not good, it's also creating a heat island effect because of the rocky bed. All these issues you can also think about the current situation. Many activities authority has developed, some places ghats, some places drainage lines, this, that, but it's not comprehensive. It's in a piecemeal manner, so it's not creating very meaningful space along the river. All that is resulting into the city has turned its back to the river. We don't want to see the river. If you have a plot along the river, then also you build some sort of compound wall or something so that you don't want to see the river. You should be protected from the flood. Everything, technical, aesthetical, all the issues are there. So instead of bringing some alien kind of objective which are very new to the world, I think having same issues to be resolved under the project makes more sense. So these are the issues. Our rivers are polluted, so we need to clean the river and make it pollution free. There is a flood risk, so we need to reduce the flood risk. So we'll go one by one how these objectives are strategized in the project. Let's see the first one. We need to understand from where this pollution is coming into the river. So these are the two sources. One is the open nala or the piped outfall. They are bringing pollution into the river, simply. So we mapped all those piped outfalls and open nalas which are along the river for all three rivers. In order to prevent that entry of pollution into the river, there are some existing interceptor line, trunk lines. There we can integrate, curb these outfalls and take the sewage into the STPs. Along with that, the JICA proposal is also undergoing. PMC is working on this. A lot of tendering work is also done. So that alignment also we checked along the river if we have this kind of alignment. So that will also help us to curb these polluting piped outfalls and nalas. And if any outfall or nala is still missing, then we also under this project try to propose some more interceptor lines. So the point is, from nowhere the pollution should enter into the river. Whatever pollution is entering, sewage pollution is entering into the river, should be taken to the first to the STPs, treat it and then pour back into the river. Simple. So this is a kind of key cross section. Mostly you see our rivers are like this and the outfalls bringing pollution into the river. So simply what we are trying to do, we are intercepting with the either existing or JICA or the proposed line so that we take this sewage into the treatment plant, treat it and then pour it back into the river. Simple. This green stuff I'll explain later, but currently just remember this as a green embankment. I'll explain you in subsequent topic. But taking to where we need to have the map of STPs. So these are the existing STP plants and most of these STP plants are along the river, you see. Most of these STP plants are fortunately along the river. We don't need to travel, take the STP, the sewage in another direction. Apart from that, under the JICA project, they are proposing 10 more STPs, which will take care of the total sewage generation of the city. And these lines will take that sewage, which will get curbed to these STPs. Additionally, because some of the upstream areas on the Mutha River is getting developed, rather it is already developed, so we need to have some sort of treatment facility, same interceptor line treatment, and then treated water should be poured from the upstream area. Otherwise, we'll clean our area and from upstream the pollution might come up. So that also we thought out. This is the kind of number game which PMC is talking about. Like currently what is the supply and what will be the supply. because of this telescopic metering system what PMC is going to adopt, that 150 LPCD will be followed in future, and that becomes the 1062 MLD future sewage generation. That future generation, if you see the current capacity, that is 477 MLD. Under JICA, 10 new STPs are proposed. That is significant one. This combines together becomes 873 MLD. Just remember this number. We will refer back to this number later on. Apart from that, there are some private STPs. Some STPs are under progress, and 25 is a shortfall which they will cover up in some new STP. So broadly, they are talking about completing all the sewage treatment capacity of the city along the river in the current PMC area, so that from no point the pollution should enter into the river, and it should be treated and then only released into the river. We also have these kind of huge manholes. Everybody has seen that, and they look wonderful, right? So we need to sort of do something about it. So what is happening? It's not about the aesthetical issue. It's also about the damage during the flood. It resists the flood line get afflux into it, height is increasing, the speed, velocity is reducing, plus it gets damaged. So multiple issues are there. So we need to improve this situation. So what we are trying to do, this kind of large manholes, and we have drainage line under that. When we do this kind of green embankment, we need to shift it, take it away from the riverbed to the periphery and integrate with the embankment so that there will be no damage, there will be no adverse impact to the flood, and we can maintain it in a better way. So that was all about the sewage generation and sewage treatment before we release into the river. But apart from that, there are other sources like garbage dumping and debris dumping along the river. So why that is happening, that we need to understand first. Because there is no check on the river. It's 88 kilometers of long river length. Who will keep a check of the river? How many watchmen or security guard PMC need to put? It's very difficult. That means we need to have a public check on it. Let's have one example. This is Tadiwala slum area along the Mula-Mutha River, and you see the situation. It's unchecked area. What if we convert this area into very walkable trail over here and a green embankment along that, which is protecting from the flood also, and this edge will allow people to walk or do the cycling. If people check is there, then nobody will dare to put a garbage bottle, a single bottle into the river, and definitely a truck of the debris dumping will not be able to get an access. So that's the only way out, right? So that's why we need access, at least pedestrian check access along the river. That way we can cover up this pollution aspect and we can make our river clean in a more strategic manner. Let's talk about the flood risk. We have the flood risk along the low-lying areas of the river. How to improve on that? So this is the same map which I showed you earlier. Let's go back to the history again. This is a Khadakwasla Dam, and this is a Panshet Dam. This Panshet Dam was damaged in 1961, everybody knows. And what was the impact? This is from the Pune Queens of Deccan, and lot of area in surrounding the river got inundated. The flood affected this area. This is Lakdi Pool photograph. Lakdi Pool, which we see is a new bridge. Earlier this kind of bridge was there, so that also got damaged. This is the area which got submerged because of this dam break. Later on in 1962 to 66, this Khadakwasla Dam was reconstructed with the new technology. In 1972, the Panshet Dam was again reconstructed. Why I'm telling this story? Because now the technology has changed, how the dams were constructed. Now we don't have a risk of dam break, but still we have a risk of flooding. So the risk of dam break is technically something very high, but risk of flooding which is low, which we will go into the detail. So now we need to think about the risk of flooding only in an urban context, no need to think about the dam. So this is what still happening even after the construction of dams upstream. This is Baba Bhide Bridge. It gets submerged every year. Even in the surrounding areas, it creates issues. There are a lot of photographs. Let's try to understand why the situation is becoming worse in today's context. We all know about red and blue line, and everybody knows what is red line and blue line, right? So red line is 100-year estimated flood, blue line is a 25-year estimated flood. It's not a particular flood, real-time flood nahi hota hai. It's a estimated flood for 25-year and 100-year. So definitely 100-year flood is a higher. Because our river is like this and we have many obstructions in between, there are low-level bridges, etc. So some areas which are developed may get inundated, so red lines are going over that. Some areas may not be developed in current situation, but it may get inundated also. So if you see this kind of situation, so you can point out number of obstructions are there, number of obstructions. And that is actually becoming hurdle into the flow of the water. So as soon as we identify these and remove these obstructions, there will be some improvement in the carrying capacity of the river. So flood improvement means the improving the carrying capacity of the river. Okay. So having this area, the middle area, very much clean, free from the obstruction, is the most important objective. But still, by doing that, we may not be able to reduce the inundation so significantly. And some of these areas may get inundated, some have developed, some may get developed in future also maybe. So to prevent that entry of water into these low-lying areas, we need to have some kind of edge protection work so that the water only flows through this river and do not enter into the city. But instead of having just vertical wall, if we have this kind of green edge work, what we can accommodate, we can also accommodate that infrastructure, that interceptor line, etc. here. We can also have walkways over here, the pedestrian movement point of view, and greenery along the river. This is a current river in natural condition, not from the land record point of view, but from on-site. This is where we see the water. In this, if you zoom in a little bit and try to understand, there are some areas which are very narrow in current condition and some areas very wide. Let's zoom one of these. This is how the Google here looks like. On site, this is how our river is. So you see some of the plots which are very close to the river, and the river shapes are also changed, right? What is happening here, I'll just explain you, like this red line is your 100-year flood line, blue line is a 25-year flood line. This purple dash line is our land record line. So as I mentioned earlier, the river may go inside or outside these lines because these lines are on paper. So when the water flow in a lean period, it flows like that because the terrain is always up and down and back and forth. So there is some movement into it. But as soon as the water level keeps rising during the monsoon season, these kind of eddies or bhavre आपण ज्याला म्हणतो, that kind of movement happens, and that actually goes on increasing as the water spreads in the surrounding areas. So these surrounding areas are actually not adding into the carrying capacity of the river, but rather it reduces the flow, the velocity of the river. So idea is to not allow water to enter into these very shallow and surrounding developed areas also sometime, but to use the water in this middle actual river part of it. So hypothetically, we want to keep the river water into this lower bed only, but we need to have some kind of edge protection work, otherwise the water will not listen us and it will flow into the lower lying areas. And that's why in order to have that water into this river only, we need to have some kind of green edge protection work. By doing that, what we are having here, the eddies are gone and the velocity of the river increases. So as soon as the velocity increases, the carrying capacity of the river also increases, and that gives us a better scenario for the flood level also. So this is one of the photograph from the Kalyani Nagar bridge. You see here, Kalyani Nagar bridge. This is current scenario, lean period, there is no water, much water available. During monsoon, if 100-year flood, this is scenario, if 100-year flood comes, it may enter into these kind of vacant areas. So there is no development, so it may not damage more as a life and wealth point of view. But if we have these kind of edge protection works, green edges, so the water will remain into the river bed only and it will pass very efficiently. Once the water is gone on a normal day, we'll be able to see again these kind of green embankments. And that's how we can protect the surrounding area from the flood threat. Let's see the same scenario for the developed area. So here you have this Tadiwala slum, which is very low-lying area. Under the 100-year flood, definitely it will get submerged and it will enter into the houses of the people. But what if we create this kind of edge protection work and allow water to flow through the river only? So these low-lying areas will be protected, and once the water is gone, then it will be again ready to use. And that's how the landscape, wherever the hardscape areas we need to put in, we need to design it such a way that there should be no damage due to the flood, but it should also come back very immediately just by cleaning or something. It should be ready in a day or so for people to use. But here we are talking about a river which is 44 kilometers, so we cannot have one solution everywhere. So we need to have become little design oriented, right, and try to find out references from the site only. So in first scenario, we termed it as a separately sparsely developed areas or moderately developed areas or densely developed areas where the development has reached up to the river. There is a less amount of land is available. So here you can see there is a lot of land available and the quantity of land availability is reducing. This is Mutha River where the very narrow channel is there, 30-35 meter, and the building is very near to the river. So if we have more land, we can go a little more gentle with the help of the natural material like compacted soil, stones, grasses, trees, shrubs, etc. If the land is not that much ample available, then we can go little more trapezoidal, but the kind of technology and the material is same here. That's why we are calling this as a green embankment. And these green type of embankments are significant in number. They are 87% in this 88 kilometer of the stretch. But in some areas like this kind of buildings are there, then you cannot go ahead and demolish this building and then build a green embankment. So you need to be a little reasonable. The project should be feasible to implement. And that's why forcefully in some areas we need to go a little vertical. But there also we need to house this interceptor line inside, the trees, the shade giving trees on lower and upper level. So as much as possible we can do that. Wherever the acquisition of land is not possible, there only we are going for that, which is only 13%. So this map itself shows you there are few areas where the red dots are there. So that is 13%, and mostly the edges will be green. It's like a defense area, etc. We need to go vertical. We cannot ask for more land or the developed areas. So most of the river embankment will be green in a nature. So we are protecting the city from the flood, as well as we are protecting the river from the erosion, and we are trying to create a green edges. Next objective is to provide the accessibility. This is the current situation. The river are like this. We cannot access, we cannot see there. But everywhere we cannot again go back and just do a one single stroke and make it everything accessible. So we tried to categorize it in 3 or 4 categories. One is a very active areas where the current ghats are there, current activities are there. So we mapped all those activity places. So we termed it as active areas. There will be some areas which are calmer areas. Like here you can only walk, do cycling, sit and have a shade of trees, green edges. But some areas are very, very important, very natural in condition. They will be having very much thick green vegetation along that. So those areas need to be very much protected. As much as possible, we should reduce the access also, only service access or something like that. So there are some kind of areas like Naik Bait is here, Salim Ali Bird Sanctuary is here. Even along defense area, some places we might have more density of the trees. Here the biodiversity, the botanical garden is there. And here the Ram Nadi confluence is there. There also you can see a lot of green vegetation. So wherever possible, we can do that kind of customization changes so that very natural kind of river. After a few years, it should look like, okay, everything is, this is how the river must be since beginning. Nothing has happened in between since last 2 centuries, I think. So that should be the idea. Again, trying to understand how these 3 categories may look like. Again, same example, I'll go through. So here you saw if the active areas are there, very close to the developed areas. So we can have some ghat areas and little more hardscape we can do at upper level, but the edge is again green and only few ghats can be placed. Some areas are already calm, so let's maintain the calmness of those areas and just do the edge protection work Even the walking and cycling can be done with the help of stones and charu and mitti kind of material, so that the percolation happens, which is locally also available. And a lot of trees, 2 to 3 rows of trees also we are planning to add into it. And the third category is this, very minimalistic approach, but yes, we need to protect the surrounding areas from the flood. We need to create some kind of access, very pedestrian and natural material. So all these 3 type of embankments will provide upper and lower level of connectivity, access, trees will be there, greenery will be there. So as much as possible we can, in a way, we are trying to provide a linear garden to the city, which is 88 kilometer almost everywhere spreading. In terms of accessibility, in current situation, we have these key elements. So the first element is about the ghat. There are a number of, this is Ahilyabai Ghat. This is Sant Jnaneshwar Ghat. So these are nice large ghats which need to be integrated, which need to be retained and enhanced with the help of facilities, with the help of the protection work. So these all the ghats we mapped. Some are in very bad condition, they are broken, so no facility, no access also. So we mapped those, we try to understand the current development, current connectivity, etc. So we can add more ghats next to it. And based on the design of the embankment, we can improve the ghat condition or have a new design of the ghat. These are very conceptual images. Apart from that, we also have some access points, just staircases or ramps where one can reach up to the river or the local lower level, and some more can be added. So there might be some ramps, so cycling can also permitted at a lower level, or the staircases, so people can walk down to the lower level also. So this is a kind of visualization from the upper promenade. So this is upper promenade, which is around 6 to 8 meter, and from there a narrow trail is going down, and that trail, for example, if it is coming here, this is current scenario. You see all this is invasive trees, invasive shrubs, because the water is also polluted. This can be transformed into this. So you reach up to the river water also safely, clean water, as we discussed earlier, and the green edge protection work. Next, going into the water, ensuring flowing water nature and availability of water. This is one of the most important objective, I would say, in an entire river, because river is a natural entity. It has its own qualities. It had a lot of ecology, flora, fauna, but because of this urbanization, we have lost a lot of aquatic life and flora, fauna. So this is the current situation. Most of the riverbed is dry. We don't have water, and whatever water we see is just a trickling of sewage water flowing into the river. Why it is happening, that first we need to understand always. In current situation, these are some of the reservoirs, and they are weir and check dam. So check dam is a solid wall only. Weir is a wall with very small gates. And there is a third category, which is barrage, which has very large gates. Okay, so there are 3 different terms. So as soon as you have check dam and weir, that results into a lot of obstructions to the flow of water, because it is more in a solid nature. Barrage is something which opens up the gate, like 10-15 meter gate opens up, and the full opening is allowed for the river to flow the water. Plus these barrage and weirs are very shallow structures. Therefore the retention of these structures is limited up to certain length only, and that's why these patches are not having the water. Whatever water we see, only that is the sewage water which is flowing in nature. So we need to change this situation. So as I mentioned, this is check dam which is broken also here behind the cantonment. These are weirs. At many places there are no gates also. So this is what happens. Because of the solidness, it results into the silt deposition and also results into the afflux. But if we replace that with the advanced barrages, so barrage opens from the bottom, and as soon as it opens from the bottom, because of that there is no silt deposition. So water takes away all the silt, and also no afflux during the flood. That's why we try to improve the situation by keeping the location same. There was a check dam here, there is a barrage and check dam here, there is a weir here. So this is upgradation of the reservoirs, so that we have water entire river. Only one new barrage we are proposing, so that entire 44 kilometer of river should have first of all water. Then again immediately the question comes about the stagnation. We'll go into it. Hold on. But let's understand how much water we are retaining into it. So in these 5 parts, the total quantity of water is a 57,000 ml. In totality, we will be able to retain. From where this water will come? Definitely during the monsoon, when we will open the gates and the flood will be allowed, and gradually we can close the gates so that we can retain the water for the year. But definitely that water will not be retained for the entire year. It will have some losses, and those losses are of these 2 types. One is the seepage and one is the evaporation. Because our riverbed is rocky, so there will be limited amount of seepage, but more amount of evaporation loss. In totality, it is around 56 mld water loss per day. That was 57,000, this is 56 loss. In order to refill the water, because otherwise every day centimeter by centimeter level may go down, so we need to replenish the river with the help of the water. From where the water will come, I am again reminding the same number, 873, which is the treated water from the STPs, can be poured into the river so that the water levels can be maintained. But how much we need? We need 56. How much we have? We have 873, sorry. So that means only 6% of water we need to retain the water levels, but we have 94% more. Definitely it will result into the flowing nature of river. That means we will have clean flowing river condition. Apart from that, if the STPs at that time, maybe after 3 years or something, 5 years, if the STPs are of not that quality, then the tertiary treatment will also be required, and that is also PMC is aware that if required, we need to also implement the tertiary requirements so that the standards will be achieved. So this is a diagram. So all these STPs which are along the river, see all these strategies are developed. I'm just creating a story out of it, but everything is informed by different departments, different divisions, experts, and from there these STPs will help us to pour the water into the river, and these rivers will have always clean flowing water. This is about the tertiary treatment. So current situation is like this, very less amount of water, and we can replace that. We may also able to have some sort of recreational boating. I don't think we will be able to have a navigation into the river. Don't be so much ambitious, because our rivers are rocky. Our rivers are very much meandering and narrow. So navigation throughout will be a little difficult, but yes, at part 1 kilometer or 2 kilometer sort of parts, we can have a recreational activity, recreational boating. Let's see that from the ecology point of view, how it can improve the ecology of the river. So this is again the same cross section in which we have these projected manholes, and outfalls are pouring pollution into the river. These are trees. So what is in current situation? The most of the riverbed is dry, very less amount of water is there. Because of that, there is loss of biodiversity. Pollution is entering into the river in current situation. Piecemeal development has happened in this area, like drainage lines and manholes, etc. Because the garbage dumping and debris dumping is happening, that is also impacting the seepage, etc. And because of the poor quality of water and other sources of pollution, we mostly see the random and invasive trees and shrubs and grasses along the river. So this is the current situation of our river with respect to ecology. So how it can, the availability of clean water only can transform it. So yes, because of the clean water, we will be able to have aquatic life into it. We are trying to propose this edge protection work with the help of boulders when the water area is there. So in these boulders, definitely it will provide strength to the embankment, but also it will be able to house the aquatic animals, insects, frogs, all these things. These green edges, the grasses, shrubs are here, which are very deep rooting grasses and shrubs. So the animals which can be flourished on this area will also come up. Very native, hardy indigenous trees, sometimes fruit giving trees are also proposed. So the birds roosting, nesting sites will be provided natural way, and this all compacted soil area with the help of very much little bit but natural material used, edge protection work is proposed. So I just mentioned about the deep root grasses and the invasive indigenous trees, non-invasive but local trees, kind of trees which will give a strength, a kind of reinforcement within the embankment. These trees will provide. We will try to consider and integrate all the existing trees which are there, definitely, but additionally we will be able to add more rows of trees along the river. And backside also, from the city or from this area, if we have some surface runoff, that also drain need to be maintained and then subsequently released into the river, so that this area also should not get locked up. So all that strategy, how it looks like, this is the current scenario. This is near the Ganesh Ghat, near Band Garden, and you see most of these invasive grasses and shrubs. This is how it can be transformed. So whatever cross section we see, this is how it may look. So you have clean water here, below that there are boulders, you have grasses here, native grasses and trees, and upper level walkway at key location, but with the protection we can provide access. In totality, how this water availability, especially clean water availability, will help us to improve so many things. So one is about recharge of ground. So you remember there will be some seepage of clean water into the river. Currently we have polluted water. So seepage of polluted water is happening, that will be replaced by the significant amount of clean water. So the groundwater table will get recharged. The local temperature will improve. Improve means it will reduce, because currently the rocky beds are exposed, there is no water. So entire river bed will have water and the edges will have greenery. So the local temperature will definitely improve if you sit below the tree. And that greenery is spread across the 88 kilometer of the banks. So you can visualize the impact to the city also. Restoration of existing flora fauna, because having a very sensitive design of the embankment near those key locations, the restrictive areas, we will be able to restore the current flora fauna. It is at very few locations, but still we should try as much as possible to restore it. The ecology and biodiversity will come back, which is already lost, which will come back. We will have recreational boating. In totality, the river will get rejuvenated, and when we say river will get rejuvenated, that means river's self-cleaning capacity will improve. So this is all about the flowing nature. Next, about the connectivity. It's a large project and spread at very longer distances also. In current situation, there are many places you see these all orange lines. These are all public existing roads. Under the development plan, there are more streets are planned which will get developed. Some are already there. So currently you see this edge protection work will come up, and eventually whenever the parallel road is there, comes up. So that will improve the connectivity to the river. So this road is already under the development plan. If it is implemented, it will improve the connectivity with the river. Apart from that, the important point is having a metro. So you see this part is parallel to the river. Again, there is a crossing here, here, and near adjacency to that. So whenever the stations are there, from station area, if the connectivity, the pedestrian connectivity is improved, strengthened, then definitely people from these areas can also access the river efficiently. This is a current situation. You see a narrow channel of the Mutha River, and the metro construction has completed. This is Baba Bide Bridge and Z Bridge, I think, along that. So this is how the widening will happen. There will be green edge protection work. There will be some entry exit from the metro to riverfront, and pedestrian bridge also can be proposed. It's in pipeline. Addition to that, with respect to the connectivity aspect, these upper level promenades will provide us the pedestrian and cycling tracks, so that people can travel, may not be 44 kilometer, but at least 4-5 kilometer we can do the cycling. So these kind of various materials we can use, which are very natural, but which will be very helpful for the activities. Coming to the last objective of our exercise is integrate the existing heritage and religious recreational places. So we try to understand which are these places. So there are a number of ghats, samadhis, bridges, which are heritage, historical importance. Shaniwarwada, which is ASI, but which is far away from the riverfront project. But these are locally addressed, graded heritage sites. So this is one of the visualization, just to sensitize that. This plan I'm explaining you from the master plan. When we will go into the detail, definitely we will go one more step or few more step into it. But at that time, what we had visualized, Here you have this Ghorpade Ghat. This is a Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj stone bridge in background, and this is a stone wall here. So understanding that concept and going beyond the 3 type of embankments, we need to do the customization of this area, try to match the material, try to match the activities, and retain the existing heritage and the qualities what we have access. There is existing ramp, so we need to refurbish that. Ghorpade Ghat also need to be integrated, and widening of the river channel is also there. This is just to inform that whenever that kind of detailed planning happens, detailed execution, design happens, then we will be able to deliver and convey all these points in much more detailed manner. Again, the same location, but from the bridge. So you see on one side, this is tall wall, on both the side, another one. This is narrow channel. These are existing manholes, how the site is looking. And yes, it will be widened, so there will be low level promenade. Using the existing stone wall, that way we can reduce also the cost of the project, and adding more tree at a lower level also. So this is a submersible area. So this is a current river width at a with respect to the flood. It will remain like that, but in lean period also the wider and retained clean water we will get, and this may get inundated during the high flood, no matter. But after the flood, you can just clean it and use it. Other activities are during the Ganesh festival. We have these immersion tanks. So we mapped all these immersion tanks, and at very key locations, like this is Jnaneshwar Ghat, and we can have very infinity pool concept, but not merging the water into the river directly, but taking it out. So all that we can try out. The existing temples are, number of existing significant temples are there, and how we can improve the connectivity of these temples with the river, because river has very important role in the religious context with the temple activities also. So that we try to understand. There are a number of gardens along the river. So we map those and how we can seamlessly integrate that garden with the riverfront. So that way we can sort of achieve all these objectives, or sort of resolve all the issues which are in a current situation. All that is resulting into this kind of master plan. In a area specific manner, I am just explaining you. So with respect to the land record boundary, which we prepared that map, with respect to that, this is the area, 687 hectare of the area of the river on paper. But in order to allow the river water to flow with respect to 100-year flood and to house the green embankment, we need more land going beyond these area. So 81 hectare of land will be required to prepare this project, which is 768 hectare. So the total project area includes 81 hectare acquisition, and 768 hectare becomes the project area. Within that, during the lean period, this becomes the river width. So 526 is the river where we will have always water available. I'm repeating, this is lean period river. But during the flood, these embankments will also have water up to this top level. Just 1 meter buffer, which is as per IS, we need to provide some buffer from the HFL. So embankments will be 1 meter above. So up to 100-year flood, the river, these embankments will be able to carry the floods. So these embankments will require 180 hectare. So almost 92% of the project area goes back to the river only. So the remaining 8% of area which you see here, the sliver land parcels, that also we are turning back to the city. So definitely we are not proposing any kind of real estate into this project, but there will be augmentation of public open spaces, amenities and infrastructure. So these which kind of amenities, infrastructure? So you see this 8% area, this is river during lean period. This is age protection work. So river is total 92% and 8% will have 74% of the green spaces and 26% of the amenities. So in green spaces you have parks, gardens, urban forest, playgrounds, etc. And this 26% will have other these kind of semi-hardscape activities, no building as such. So in return, apart from the age protection work, apart from the cleaning aspect, everything, this is what that remaining 62 hectare of area will accommodate. It will have parks and gardens, temples, the ghats, the recreational activities, plazas, boating facilities, etc., eatery, all these things. So this kind of master plan was prepared and approved by the Standing Committee General Body of the PMC in 2018. This is the revised cost of the project in 2021. Here we have also added all the taxes and O&M for the 5 years and all that, which was not there earlier. So that's all further detailing. So currently we are working on these two, stretch number 9 and stretch number 10 for the detailing part of it. So at the closing of the project, I'll just quickly run through some frequently asked questions. Like always people try to say that this project is about the concreting of the embankment. Is it like that? No, it's like creating 87% of the embankment which is green, and 13% wherever acquisition is not possible, there only we have to forcefully do the concrete embankments. Will the project reduce the width of the river? No. At many places, whatever the current width is, we are widening as much as possible. So this is one of the example of the Mutha River. The entire Mutha River has this kind of channel, which is 30-35 meter, and which will be widened to 90-95 meters. Will the project make Pune's rivers into a straight channel? Sometime you might hear this, but no, we are not making these rivers as a straight. The meander, the curves of the river will be maintained, just it will be smoothened so that the carrying capacity of the river improves, but the alignment, the curve alignment will be maintained. Will the project cause formation of stagnant water pool within the river? No, it will not, definitely. I explain all the strategy and how the water will be poured and how much significant, huge amount of water, clean water will be poured, so it will not be a stagnant, rather it will be clean flowing water. Will the project destroy existing flora fauna? This is the most of the condition. There is no existing significant flora fauna biodiversity. So here we will have this kind of age protection work which will bring the good quality of flora fauna, and where the existing flora fauna is there, definitely we'll have sensitive measures for that. Will the project only beautify the river? Definitely low, because it's a comprehensive project, everything like cleaning, flood protection, accessibility, water availability. It's a comprehensive project, so it's not only the beautification of the river. Will the river land be used for the commercial redevelopment? No, it will not. It will be given for all the public amenities only, like parks and gardens. No real estate building kind of project is there. So here I stop. This is the huge team behind me. I am just one person taking opportunity and facing you guys and trying to present the project, but huge team and experts, some of my team members are already here. They help us to build this project, even to prepare this presentation. Thank you very much.